Everyone's trying to manifest who can be the biggest puppet to the fucking devil. Here's another thing. Fuck Barstool. They're trying to kill us. They're trying to take all our money and they want us dead. Fuck your pineapple. I got 2 goals for this podcast. One of them is just to be as authentic as I can be. And 2 is to get everyone to understand that the powers that be want us fat, stupid, sick, lazy, and poor. And it's our job as individuals to fight back by becoming the best version of ourselves. It took me a long time to commit to this podcast idea because I have a lot of conflicting things that I'm interested in. You know, I'm a stand-up comedian and I'm really fucking good at it too, so come see me live. And I'm funny on stage, and off stage there's this pressure to be funny all the time. And if you're a good comedian, off stage you're thinking about things, right? And so sometimes in order for me to come up with a funny joke, I first have to like discuss an idea in more of like a serious manner and really get like a full deep understanding of it. And then once I actually have an understanding of it well enough, then I can actually extract a joke from it because it's from knowledge, and that's how you're able to like package a deep idea into just like a funny little thing. And that's why people love comedy so much. Whenever someone's like, hey, you're a comedian, aren't you supposed to be funny all the time? I usually just like say some little joke, but what I'm thinking in my head is I'm just not funny around you. I'm funny around smart people and my friends. But you're a stupid fucking boomer that doesn't appreciate good comedy. You've never had an interesting thought in your entire life. I've also been saying funny things that you haven't been picking up on because you're too slow. You'd only appreciate a good joke if it was, you know, a sexist joke or a hack joke or some repackaged racist joke that you've heard 10,000 times. But no, you're too much of a dumb fucking boomer and you don't even deserve my jokes. So that's what I think in my head, but then outwardly I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. Huh? Anyways, that's a long-winded way of me saying that this podcast might not be funny all the time. It might only be funny 20% of the time. It might be funny half the time. It might not be funny at all. And I might just be fucking screaming about conspiracy theories the whole time. Also, when you're putting out a podcast or any piece of art or anything, as a comedian, there's this pressure to try and kind of create something that's going to appeal to the most amount of people. But I think when you're trying to appeal to too many people, you end up dulling yourself out a little bit and you remove what about you is actually good and interesting and funny, and then you end up being interesting to nobody. Like I remember when one of these late night talk shows had reached out and they wanted me to send in a tape, right? And so I was like, oh, awesome. This is cool. So I went and tried filming this like clean 5-minute set that was super inauthentic because I was trying to do a set that I thought like the TV industry would like. But then I also just went up there and fucking bombed because the audience could tell I didn't like these jokes. And then the industry didn't like the jokes because I was bombing, right? And the funny thing is, to be honest with you, I recently saw Fallon doing this dance where he's talking about the latest COVID variant, and he was like dancing and singing about it.
Another brand of COVID-19 has arrived. It's a new strain, but it isn't the...
That made me truly embarrassed that there was ever a point in time that I wanted to perform on that show. I mean, I still would if they asked me right now, but I have this fantasy where I perform like Fallon or like Colbert, and they like call me over to the couch, and they're like, wow, you're so funny. And then I'm just like, thank you. You used to be funny too. And then I just fucking blast them for selling their souls to the fucking corporate devil. Like some of these comedians are fucking dancing around for credit card companies and pharmaceutical companies. It's like, you know, you can just make good money and you don't have to be the court jester to the Illuminati. I mean, I guess someone's going to do it, but it's just, I don't know. It's just lame, bro. Like even in entertainment, there's like a big industry of people in entertainment that are like it's like motivational stuff geared towards people who are like artists following their dreams. And then at some point though, everyone's trying to manifest who can be the biggest puppet to the fucking devil. When you're pursuing a career in entertainment, it tries you in so many ways. So you have to develop this level of spirituality. But if you don't have a purpose and you don't have any values, you're literally just trying to manifest to the universe that I'm trying to be the world's greatest, the world's biggest puppet to the Illuminati. I'm trying to manifest that I become so famous that I can convince the masses to fucking get a booster shot. That's fucking sick. Here's another thing. Fuck Barstool. Is there so many podcasts out there where it's like three fucking idiots, they're sitting around a couch, they're goofing off, and they're like, hey, so do you like pineapple on your pizza or do you not like pineapple on your pizza? And then they argue about pineapple on their pizza for 20 minutes. I want to be a guest on one of these podcasts. And they're like, so Abby, pineapple on pizza or not pineapple on pizza? I go, I don't know. Here's what I think. I think they're trying to kill us. They're trying to take all our money and they want us dead. Fuck your pineapple, dude. So that brings me to the topic of episode 1. They want us dumb, broke, sick, fat, and lazy and dependent on them. And it's our job to get fucking jacked and rich and all this stuff. It gives you a purpose for trying to want to pursue your goals. The first person who I heard articulate this idea is this guy, Andy Frisella. He created 75 Hard, bunch of companies. He's like a billionaire, badass dude, makes my favorite content on the internet. And his messages really resonate with me because it's something that I've always kind of suspected. When you accept this fact, the world makes so much more sense. It gives you so much more context. When you look at these petty day-to-day arguments on politics and culture and what's going on in the world, and you zoom out, you realize like, oh, there's people marching this evil agenda forward, and there's people trying to fight back, and then there's people, most people in the middle just kind of don't really understand what's going on, and they're just fucking yelling nonsense in every direction just for fun because they got nothing better to do. I read this book. It's called Industrial Society and Its Future. It's written by this guy, Ted Kaczynski, who is also known as the Unabomber, and the book is also known as the Unabomber Manifesto. And don't fucking judge me, okay? It's a good book. I don't endorse like the solution this book proposes, but I do agree with the problems that this book suggests that are going on in the world. This book talks about the machine, right? Ever since the Industrial Revolution, mankind has been on this relentless march to destroy the natural world, remove freedom and remove purpose, and eventually end us in a place like that movie WALL-E, we're on fucking feeding tubes in VR. Like that's the natural progression. If you look at everything in the world that's going on technologically, everything moves us one step closer towards that, right? And there's people that don't even realize that's like where every political argument comes from is do we move closer or further from that? And actually both political parties are actually moving us towards that. And people think that technology is going to be our solution out of these problems to destroying the natural world, but every technological solution has had 10 unforeseen circumstances and it gets worse and worse. So after I read this book, it gave me a lot of clarity. Like the hippies and the conspiracy theorists are kind of right about everything. And this isn't an apolitical opinion. I think both political parties work for the biggest corporations in the world, and the biggest corporations in the world own both political parties, and then they also own the FBI and the CIA, which keeps the political parties in check, and no one can really step out of line. I think the woke left is annoying, and they're pushing this agenda forward, but also conservatives too are kind of idiots in a sense where they're like, they don't want to see any cultural change, yet they still push forward the nonstop technological advancement. You can't have technology and still maintain conservative values. That doesn't make any sense. So if you're thinking, yeah, I agree with you, Abby. I mean, humans are destroying the natural world, but you sound like a conspiracy theorist. Just think about this. Like, who is guiding the destruction of the natural world? I do think that this is the way humans naturally just form. It's almost just like the natural trajectory of humankind. It's just the way we structure ourselves. But I do think there are groups of people trying to control it and trying to push it forward in actually kind of an evil way. I also think there's a group of people that understand what's going on and they're trying to be the ones that guide it. Think about it this way. 27 people control as much wealth as the bottom 50% of the planet. Right? That's fucking crazy. And regardless of whether that's right or wrong, that just is what it is, right? And there might even be people richer than that we don't even know about, that really control the wealth of the world, and they really own fucking 80% of the wealth. And you know what I mean? Like, it gets a little crazy at that level. So let's say assume they exist, right? It's far, far, far more plausible than not plausible that these people know each other, right? And then it's also more plausible than not plausible that not only do they know each other, that they that they work together, and they have actually worked together to amass this wealth. And there's probably a little infighting, but overall they probably work together. Then the other thing is they have so much wealth, which means they literally have control over the entire world. They can mold the world in their vision, and they probably sit around and discuss the world in their vision. Let's just pretend that they're moral people. I personally think that they worship the devil. For this, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. So, as the moral leaders of the world that's theirs, that they own, and we're just scum and they own it, and we're nothing. We're less than fucking shit on the bottom of their shoe, but they own the world and they're the moral leaders. So how are they gonna they understand the problems with the world. They understand that, where all the fish are getting sucked up, all the forests are getting killed. We're literally not going to have natural resources, whether you believe in climate change or not. We're fucking eating the whole world. The whole world is just being gobbled up, So what's their solution? Right? Like, what do they think is the most ethical solution to that problem? Well, one solution would be depopulating the planet a little bit, and then after they've depopulated the planet, with the remaining population, they control them, right? So they institute things like a US digital currency, so they can control what you buy, how much energy you consume, how many resources you consume, what type of information you consume. They can essentially control every aspect of your life, so you no longer have freedom. But they can't just massacre everyone. Like, they would never get away with that, right? You can't just do that. That's a fucked up thing to do. Instead, the more ethical thing to do would be to depopulate, to maybe make everyone so fat, so unhealthy, not have kids, not have family, be dependent on them, make them take whatever pills and whatever drugs you give them, and make them sterile. And that's kind of the goal, right? So let's break down my statement. First, they want us fat. Look at every government health chart that's been ever proposed. It goes against every scientific study about food and all conventional knowledge that we know about food. Look at how every big food company is owned by like 5 major food companies that own every food company in America. Their only goal is to make the food cheaper and more addictive and more profitable. And if on the way to making it cheaper, more addictive, and more profitable, they discover a way to do it that's bad for human health, not only will they promote it, they would run a simple cost-benefit analysis, and if they find that it's cheaper to pay off the government and get this new product approved, they could just do that. They're like, if it's cheaper to pay off the government, pay off some lawsuits, whatever, confuse people, get people mad, but they'll make X amount of profit. They just factor that in. It has no more. It's just a numbers thing. And that's just true. Like, there's thousands of examples of companies doing that you could look up. They want us dumb. I mean, most people are pretty fucking dumb anyway, but even the fact that they're dumb, there is still a top-down agenda of them wanting us dumb. Look at American versus Chinese TikTok. Look at every piece of content. Look at every sports thing. Look at the type of content Barstool Sports puts out. People like smart, interesting shit, but they're just forced to watch dumb shit, and then they're forced to carry these conversations about meaningless nonsense. They want us broke. If I was the evil ruler of the world, I would make sure people have just enough money to get by, but not enough money to speak up against anything that is unjust. If they had any extra money, I would create advertising. So instead of, saving up to buy a farm, they buy jet skis instead. And then the really poor people, those are the easiest to keep at the bottom. Like, I would make it federal law that, like, if they overdrafted their account by like $1 for a day just so they can get something to eat, they would have to be charged a $35 overdraft fee. I convince everyone to go into debt. I'd convince everyone to get $250,000 in student debt, and then all our doctors, they can't speak out against all this bullshit because they have student debt. They want us sick. I've heard so many doctors in interviews say that when they were in med school, they only spent one afternoon learning about nutrition. And that is fucking insane because nutrition is literally controls every aspect of your health. Your body runs on nutrition. That would be like if I went to a mechanic and they're like, yeah, it's probably, the mechanic can rebuild the engine, but they think it's also not a bad idea to put fucking windshield wiper fluid in your gas tank. They're like, yeah, you could put apple juice in your gas tank. That person, there's a missing piece of information. They don't know anything about the mind-body connection, even though your mind, there is such a thing. There are pharmaceutical companies created this culture of the pill culture, right? So for any problem, there's a pill solution. Every solution comes in a pill, when that's not necessarily the case. When you can solve almost every health problem by getting enough sunshine, getting enough sleep, reducing your amount of stress, and exercising a few times a week. If every person on the planet did that alone would probably put the pharmaceutical companies out of business. Just that little thing. Here's what's crazy about all this, right? Even though these people are evil and all that stuff, right? Like any good villain, they have a compelling argument. They are trying to stop us from destroying the natural world because we need the natural world to continue to exist, for human beings to continue to exist. So they think they have a noble cause, right? But I think the argument against them, which is a better argument, is one, all their solutions are pure evil. No one voted for these people. No one voted for their solutions. All of their solutions go against your biology. Like we've evolved for millions of years, and their solutions go against millions of years worth of evolution. In order for their solution to work, we have to give up all of our freedoms. And I think our freedoms now this is a whole other argument, but I think our freedoms are God-given. I think we're born with them, and fuck them for trying to take them. Having everybody fat on feeding tubes in VR isn't the solution. Depopulating the planet and then having the remaining people on feeding tubes and VR machines, that can't be the solution. What is the solution? I don't know, but all I know is that if every single person every person in the world, magically you waved a magic wand and every single person started going to the gym, started exercising, started listening to uplifting things, stopped consuming shitty content, watch what they ate, cut out processed food, started meditating, started living by a moral code, reading books, learning critical thinking, buying land, growing your own food, finding like-minded people, spreading the message. I think if you did that, pharmaceutical companies go out of business, you would weaken these people. These people really are dependent on us propping them up. Anyways, this episode is brought to you by DoorDash. I'm kidding. So far, that is the best I can articulate this. So anyways, that's episode 1. If you like this message, please share it. Tell your friends. Comment below. Let's argue. Episode 2 is coming. Episode 2 is going to be called Why Fat People Can't Have a Spiritual Experience. So stay tuned for that one.